had 2 people on Instagram hit me up and ask, how do you make the Genius verified thumbnails with the music artists that like talk about their lyrics and say what the meanings are? But yeah, let's get to it. Now we're in Photoshop, so go ahead and hit where it says new file, the little blue button right there, and then this window will come up. Let's put your unit of measurements in pixels right here, and let's put your width at 1280 and the height at 720. And I always put my resolution at 300 in case I end up printing some of this stuff later. All right, so now you can hit create, and this is your canvas for where we're going to be creating everything at. So first we need to go and get a reference. So if I go back to one of these pictures, I'm just going to get a screenshot. I'm going to just get this one, and I can just paste it in here. And the first thing is to get that yellow that they use. So I'm going to get this rectangle. I'm going to click and drag out a rectangle. The size doesn't matter just yet. I'm going to take the stroke off, and all stroke means is an outline, and fill is just like the color that fills in the shape. So if I click right here on fill and then click on this, you'll see a little eyedropper tool, and the eyedropper tool is just going to pick up the color. So I just want to pick up this yellow right here, and then when I hit OK, it's the same exact yellow. It's magic. So now what you can do is just make this rectangle big enough so that way it covers all the white space. And if you go over the line, it's fine. You don't have to like snap it like right into place or anything. All right, so I need to bring my reference layer up. Let me actually go ahead and rename that one. Reference layer. Well, I'll just call it reference. Okay, so now all you really have to do is get a picture of somebody. So for mine, I want to use Jonathan Majors. So I already looked his name up, and I just typed in Jonathan Majors photo shoot because I wanted to get a high quality picture. So I'm just going to copy this, put it over here in the Photoshop, and paste it. Whenever I put images in here, I want to make them a smart object. It just saves me a headache in the long run. So I'll do that part. Just resize it, put it there. And since the background isn't anything crazy, it'll be easier for me to cut it out. So if I just go up here to select and then subject, give it a second. Okay, so now you'll have your selection made around your subject. I'm gonna go up to select and then select and mask just to see if like everything looks good. Around the edges of everything, it looks pretty good. The selection that was made looks pretty good. Oh, actually I see some white space in here. So I'm just going to make sure this is selected. If I brush a little bit smaller and then just kind of click and drag. Oh snap, I'm lying. Go to the -1. And then just kind of click and drag in there a little bit, and it'll be easy for it to pick up. Even though that part isn't selected, it's fine. It's okay. I'm gonna hit OK. Let me zoom back out. And there's a square down here, or it's like a rectangle with a circle on it. That's a layer mask. So if you click on that, it'll hide the background like this. All right, so now I need to look at the reference so that way I know what the proportion should be, because I don't want him to be too small or too big on here. I want him to be about the same height as her picture, so that looks good right there. Okay, make sure you save it as you're working on it. You don't want the computer to crash and you lose your document. Now I gotta add where it says verified and then the person's name, and then add the part that says genius. For the name part, it's just a black rectangle with some white text on it. So I'm gonna do that. And the width of the rectangle just depends on how long the person's name is. So I'm gonna get the text tool, click and drag this out. I'm just going to type his name in all caps, Jonathan Majors. Okay. I'm going to do this. And this is just how I like to resize my text. It's just a lot easier. I'll just click and drag this up because I ain't got to worry about going in here and trying out a bunch of different numbers and stuff. And this is actually a font that I found on the Adobe site. It's called Program OT. So it has a bunch of different variations. I used the one called Book, because the one called Medium was a bit too thick. It was a bit too bold of a font. So I'm just going to make this white, and I'm going to drag it on top of the rectangle. So right now the rectangle is too big. So I just need to make it a little bit shorter going this way. Okay. So let me get the reference again. I'm going to actually duplicate the reference and make it smaller so I can move it and look at it right here. The text is almost the same height as the rectangle. So now what I need to do is make it a little bit less bold. So I'm going to bring it back to the one that says book. Book still looks too thin, but this is how I like to finesse with text that doesn't have like in between boldnesses, or in between, you know, like bold options, I guess. I don't know. So I'm gonna just double click on that layer with the text. I'm gonna go to where it says stroke, and stroke is just the outline around something. So if I click right here and make it white, this is how the text looks right now. And this is how the text looks with the stroke, and this is without the stroke. With, without, with. So this is the lowest that you can go with the stroke size, but I still feel like it's kind of still a little bit too bold. So sometimes I like to just lower the opacity a little bit, and it kind of helps to finesse, you know, a slightly less thickness. But you can just keep playing around with that until it looks the way you want it to. So now with the rectangle, I just need to resize it so that way it kind of feels like it's fitting his name. So I'm just going to bring this inwards like that. Okay, same thing on the other side. Same thing with the top and the bottom. So it doesn't need to be right up on it like that. That's not how it looks. It just needs to be a little bit like, oh, it's gonna be hard. I'm gonna just leave it like there, then I'm gonna leave it like that, then I'm gonna just bring his name down and see how that looks. All right, that looks good. It looks damn good. All right, so I'm gonna just bring this over a little bit. So just keep moving it around until it looks the way you want it to. We've got to add where it says verified. So I'm gonna just get right here where it says his name, and I'm gonna just duplicate it, make that text black, and there's still that outline on it, so don't forget about that. So I'm just going to type in the word verified, make this a little bit smaller, and I got to make that outline around it black instead. So I'm going to double click there, go to stroke, make this black. Okay, so that looks good there. Let me hide my small reference and bring up my bigger reference so I know where to put it at. So this is a little bit smaller, I think. Okay, so that looks good right there. If it's not exactly the same, you know, size is fine. We're just eyeballing it, so we're all good. Okay, so this is the part I was scared of, the genius part. So if you look at it, it's like there's text, but there's not text. You know what I mean? So let's just try to finesse it. So I'm just going to make this a little bit wider. I'm gonna type in genius, and I believe all this is the same font. It kind of all looks the same anyways. So I'm gonna get genius. They have more spacing in between each letter. So I'm just gonna go up here. And if you have your text selected, if you go to this part right here, if you increase that number, then it'll increase the spacing between the letters. So I think about here looks good. Okay. So now I have this. So here's the hard part. So you want this text in the front to be that yellow color, right? So I'm gonna just click on this, make it yellow. I'm gonna double click on it, and I'm gonna get rid of the stroke. Okay, so I just have yellow text right now. So if you move it here, you can see that the text is clearly yellow. All right, so I have that in the front, but I'm gonna duplicate this layer. So I'm gonna right click it, you can hit duplicate layer, and there you go. And the copy is above the original, but I'm gonna bring it down a layer, and I'm gonna double click it. I'm gonna make this one black. Okay, so it's right behind it, that's why you can't see it, but I'm gonna move it down, and I'm hitting the down arrow on the keyboard. So I'm gonna go down a few times, then I'm gonna go to the left a few times. So that's basically what it looks like, but we're just gonna have to keep messing with it until it looks good. So I think I want to, let me see. This is the back one. I'm gonna call this one black, and I'm gonna just call this one yellow. Their font kind of looks a little bit squished, so let me select this and try to like squish it myself and see how it looks. We're getting somewhere. We're kind of getting somewhere. Kind of. But I think theirs is a little bit more bold though. Let me go back up here and change the font. Because I think they probably ended up using a more bold, you know, option just to make it look like the way that they do it. So if I was to get the yellow text, let me zoom in on that. Okay, if I was to get the yellow text and make that one medium, and then make the black one medium as well, would that look right? You can get away with that. But remember, these are just thumbnails. No one's gonna be like blowing the image up and zooming in, you know. But if I get the black one and maybe move it over this way, I think that looks good. Yeah. You can finesse somebody with that. Okay, yeah, you can finesse you can finesse and make it look real. Okay, so I'm gonna just get the yellow and the black one. I'm gonna select them both. I'm gonna select both layers at the same time and hit this little chain thingy, because when you do that, it helps to be able to move them around at the same time. Let me actually go to the black layer. I'm gonna double click on that and I'm gonna give that one a stroke. Make sure the stroke is black, and I'm gonna just make this one 1. If I increase it, because theirs is, it's a little bit thicker, but I think this is the product that we were looking for. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller, put it in this spot. They have a, actually let me make it bigger. So I think that looks good right there. So I'm gonna just put it as close as I can to the original, and I'm gonna just hide my reference, and there you have it. And it looks so good, y'all. If this was on YouTube and I was scrolling, I'll be like, he made a song. But I mean, people who already have seen this image, they'll be like, yeah, I know that's fake. But anyways, this is how you make the genius thumbnail. If y'all have any other requests, just let me know. In the description box, you'll see my email address, my TikTok, and my Instagram. So yeah, so till then, I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.